Hey, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our coverage at Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. And now I am pleased to present my longtime friend, former Oakland Council member and mayor candidate, Ignacio de la Fuente. Hey, boss, how you doing?
I'm all right, my friend. I'm all right. Thank you very much for the invitation. I think that hopefully we'll have a lively discussion here. But
Well, the simple fact
you
that
know
you're
me, I don't like boring, so
here, you're never boring. The simple fact that you're here makes it lively. So there you
I'm
go.
ready.
Hey, we're talking about the context of current Oakland mayor and your mayoral candidate Shang Tao's firing a hit job on Lamone Armstrong is what I called it. It's a hip job. Well, as my sources call it. But Ignacio has a story regarding the federal monitor and the city attorney he wants you to hear. Ignacio, bring us up to date.
Well, it was a long campaign, and I think hopefully people remember everything I said during the campaign. Unfortunately, is coming to be true. The reality is that Oakland, we in trouble. In the area that we are more in trouble than anything is public safety, the safety of our citizens, the safety of our businesses. And it's off the hook. I mean, we have to recognize it. That is worse than has ever seen it. And I've been in Oakland 52 years of my life, Zinni. And we had bad times, no question about it. Gang wars, we have a lot of issues in Oakland for the last half a century. Uh, but I don't believe it's never like this. I think that now is citizens that are not only get caught in the crossfire, but are targeted more than any other time in the past. Is And a lot of people do in elected office kind of trying to ignore it or minimize it. We in deep shit. When you look at sideshows, when you look at all the things that are happening, now it's not only cars. I don't know if you saw it, but now they use semi trucks to do donuts to take over the streets.
Yeah.
Why? Because we have allowed them to do that. I said that during the campaign, and I will keep saying it that other cities are not facing what we're facing. Why? Because they don't allow those things to happen. They don't allow people to do whatever they want to do in their cities. And that's what's happening in Oakland. So to me, when I heard that the mayor fired Chief Armstrong, it's a kind of I couldn't believe it for a minute because, again, the biggest crisis that we have is public safety. Firing the chief of police for what I consider, based on the information that has been available, Zinni, supposedly the discipline of this officer that committed a couple of violations, whatever those violations were, right? In my opinion, didn't get to the extreme of firing a chief of police, especially when all of us elected officials for years and decades have maybe used that cliche of we want to grow our own, we want to hire our own local police officers, we want to hire people that live in Oakland. Here we go. First chief in Oakland history that is homegrown, that is born and raised in Oakland. That I agree with him 100%? Absolutely not. But that I believe that under the circumstances, under the pressures that they get from the mayor and the city council office, not to do their job in a sense, not to give them support, to do their job to the men and women of the police department, is something that has created the crisis that we have today. So for the mayor and the first month in office, to fire the chief of police with no plan in hand, with no real preparation, to me is not only a mistake, but it shows the inexperience, and it shows the speaking from both sides of your mouth type of thing. When they claim they were going to hire more cops, they want to support the police during the campaign. Well, here we go. Your first action is not what you preach, and I think it's sad. And unfortunately, we are in a very, very difficult situation. And I will once I let you talk, then we can talk about the federal monitor and all those issues that I think that people should know, right?
Hmm. I want to know what you thought, because my talking is more to ask you questions, but I want to know what your thoughts were when you found out that Shantel first took the action of putting Chief Armstrong on leave, and then that was January 19th, and then on February 15th, actually less than 30 days later, fired him. And then the reasons had nothing to do with any clear violation of policy edict or ethics. There was no ethics commission investigation tied to it, just a questionable report by a federal monitor whose $1 million paycheck was up to end and is known for what is called evergreening. In other words, making changes to his contract to make sure that he continues to get paid. We paid him $20 million, over $20 million a year for 20 years. What are your thoughts? Where were you when that happened? What were your thoughts when you initially heard that was going on?
A lot of people probably don't remember the monitor, the federal monitor became the way that the federal government, the federal overseer, kind of dealt with the issue of the writers case,
Yeah.
right? A few police officers that were accused of violating civil rights of people and beating up people and this, that, or the other. So that's how the monitor came to power. But I can tell you that I left and I served the city for, as you know, over 20 years. I was there when the monitor was shoveled down our throats, really, by the federal by the federal judge. I was probably the only council member that question and argue all the time in closed session. Closed session is when the city attorney and the city manager and the city council members and the mayor discuss legal and real estate transactions, legal actions, legal lawsuits, and all of that. And I can tell you that I was the only council member, as I remember, that I questioned, the when is the timeline for this monitor to complete his job, right? We started with 50 or 55 issues. I believe about 70 issues actually, and it's supposed to be for a couple of years, and then OPD and the police department and the city administrator and all of that managed to deal with most of those issues. I remember one of the last times that we discussed, it was like 7 issues left, right? 7 items left in one of the discussions that we had, but to me, it's a pattern. There's no question about it. I have to say that Chief Armstrong is correct. Every time we were close to complete, the mission, the line was moved. It was moved by the monitor, with all due respect. Why? Because he's making $900,000+ a year plus expenses. The guy doesn't even live in Oakland, right? Comes a couple of times a month, to so-called oversee the police department. But let's face it, let's be real. More than 20 years. Have anything changed? So I think people should ask the question that has this helped? I mean, the really pain through the nose has helped? No. The reality is that, unfortunately, especially in the last 10 years, with the so-called progressive mayor and progressive city council members to be truthful here, with the message that the police is always bad, with the message that Oakland, is different. We have allowed people to do things that they don't do anywhere else. We tie the hands of the police really to do their jobs. People is even afraid to talk about it. What's the purpose of the so-called Public Ethics Commission? What is the purpose of the Police Commission and all of that? If something like this happens without even them knowing, I believe that they were supposed to meet and obviously that the firing happened before their meeting. So I think that was the wrong thing to do, in my opinion. If the chief violated any policies, or especially when it comes to discipline of an officer, you deal with that. It's to me, I think that it was, and I want to say, Zinni, in your program, it was a payoff. I believe that the activists and the police and the anti-police activists, I believe the labor and all those people that supported the mayor are cashing in their bets, and I think that that's one of the reasons why the chief is gone, and it's more to come. Unfortunately, I cannot understand why the cities of Oakland are so quiet when it's with the only city that is still shut down. City Hall is still closed, isn't it? We're the only one of the few cities that still have, the moratorium on rents, right? I absolutely supported the moratorium on rents during the pandemic, but now, I know this for a fact. We have a lot of small landlords, seniors, people that save their pennies to buy a couple of properties, and now they are overtaken by people who don't pay rent. Why? Because the city and the county, with all respect to my friends in the county, continue with the moratorium. I believe that today they were discussing it and probably, hopefully, stop it. Okay, period. But I think that this is consequence of the policies and the ideologies of, unfortunately, the people in city halls, and we are paying the price, and the citizens of Oakland are paying the price.
We can have another conversation about that one because I disagree with you. But the only reason I do is for a very unique way that goes all the way back to, I'll just very simply explain it. A lot of people are really having a hard time finding jobs, and it's because of the pandemic. COVID-19 is not over. We are one mutation away from it starting all over again. We cannot go back to what we had as long as that is the case, A. B, worldwide, we have supply chain disruptions that are still impacting our ability to get money, jobs, everything else. The key driver in this is for the government to get money to landlords. I've said it for 3 years. I said, if you're going to have an eviction moratorium, put money in the pockets of landlords.
But that was not supposed to happen, Zinni. And if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen immediately, because I believe that the elected officials don't care as much as they care about the tenants, they care about the people that are supplying the housing. The reality is,
that's it though. So why not make the Nate Mileys of the world and the Keith Carsons of the world and Lena Tams of the world, why not make them subsidize the landlords rather than pitting the landlords against the tenants, okay? Because it's a bigger problem, all right? And all this happening now, Ignacio, is stuff that I forecasted, and I'm saying if they let this moratorium pass, we're going to be these economies are going to sink. Why? People are going to leave, what does that do? It makes your tax base go down, okay? This is not a liberal, it should not be a liberal conservative thing. It should be a test of how much people actually know about how their businesses and the economy work, because a true business person gets it. They say, as I've said when I worked for Elihu, all right, we need to subsidize you for downturns. We need to subsidize you to recover. Businesses are people too. We treat them like that for tax reasons. Why not for economic development reasons, right? Same thing, okay? That's all I'm saying, Go ahead.
Back to the federal monitor, because I want to get this.
Yeah.
I think I told you this. I told you this off the record. Back in the day, and I'm talking about I left in 2013, so it was probably sometime around 2007, 2008, 2009. Did I question, and I publicly, and if you go back and check, that will be the Oakland Tribune or K-Top or whatever it is. I was the only council member that publicly used to call in for the end of the oversight of the federal monitor. Okay, the only person, not only because of the cost, but because of the demands. We needed more sergeants, we needed more this, we needed more that. I mean, it's like just money. I mean, people, for some reason, everybody thinks the Oakland is just Prince money or something, right? Oh yeah, because we need more sergeants for a smaller number of officers, this, that, or the other. My point is that I was the only person publicly that continue asking the question, wanted to say when this guy is going to finish his job. To the point where Barbara Parker, our city attorney, that in my opinion also is responsible for a lot of the things that are happening to our city. People know, that the city of Oakland, we settle every lawsuit, we pay millions of dollars. Just when people just file whatever complaints or whatever losses they have, that's Barbara Parker. City Attorney Barbara Parker actually told me, okay, that she got a call from the judge, right? And it basically said, you tell that council member to better shut his mouth, or we're gonna hold them in contempt. I mean, to that extent is the control, that I think the federal government and this monitor have, and the city have, and OPD. But at the end of the day, I wish that one person can tell me what is the improvements that have happened in the last 20-some years that we have paid over $23 million to the federal monitor. So it's bullshit. It's absolutely, in my opinion, no changes. The reality is that it makes it more difficult, more stressful for our police officers, our men and women in OPD to do their jobs. Why we have the spikes of crimes that we have? Because the crooks know that they're not going to be, even if they get caught, no consequence.
Yeah, that's right.
And now they can rob you, they can assault you, they can beat you up in public at any time of the day with absolutely no consequence. And that's the problem.
How did we get to a point? Because I have two questions. Well, I'll just do it separately. I don't want to load you with it. But my recent discovery is something that we really become far afield from. And that's, you were there too, when Jerry Brown was elected, we passed Measure X, which gave us the Jerry Brown version of strong mayor, which, as Ellie used to put it all the time, was only done that way because, as you and I both know, Jerry didn't want to be saddled with going to daily council meetings or weekly council meetings, right? Okay, that's it. All right. But we went from that to now where not one, not two, not three, but 4 sections of the Oakland City Charter point to the city administrator as the one that does the hiring and firing of the police chief. Yet, of late, we've let the mayor do it. And I should clarify when I say of late. Paul Figueroa resigned when he was found that Libby wanted to go someplace. He resigned. That's on record as him resigning. Okay. Chief Rent, when he was removed, when Libby did it, I was at the press conference. The video is in Zenny 62 on YouTube. Sabrina Landry, who was then the city administrator, was sitting right next to Mayor Schaaf. More accurately, Sabrina should have been between Mayor Schaaf and the interim she wanted to hire. Excuse me. So my point is now, even with that, Libby did do it right. She included the city administrator. By contrast, Mayor Tao had just herself and 3 police officers, 2 deputy chiefs. That was it. That's also a violation of the law. Where do we get to a point where we don't look at our own law as an electorate, as an Oakland, as minders of the city collectively and say, hey, you know what? We have a way that these laws are written. You need to follow them. What's going on with us, Ignacio?
I'm telling you what's.
Oh, and with that, there he is. That might be a battery issue with Ignacio. I will discover in a second, because he, if all goes according to Hoyle, will come back. That is, and I'm sure he's going to come back in a second. And I think what may have happened is something he had happened. Let me give him a buzz and see if he's copacetic. I hate to guess about anything. I don't like guessing. I don't like making assumptions. So. Hey, you coming back in?
I'm trying.
Oh, okay. Or can you do it by voice?
Let me see. I'm trying with the same thing that I did before. That it worked.
Okay. Sometimes just
No reason.
restart
So
your.
let's say-
Hey, Ignacio. Ignacio, here's an idea. Restart your phone, okay, and then try it with a link.
Okay.
Yeah, restart your phone, and I'll hang up. All right. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So my theory is that it might be a caching issue. Sometimes that happens. He's probably using the Chrome browser, for which that can happen. So we are using StreamYard, by the way. You would say, okay, why aren't we using Zoom? Very simple reason. Because Zoom, well, first of all, Zoom does not sync well in the way that is part of our network design with StreamYard, which I'm using right now. Why is that important? Because I can set this, I call it vessel up, if you will, and it can be marked for search on any search engine prior to the actual event that is the live stream like this one. Okay. So that's the reason. And it allows for early tweet out. Here he is. He's back. And this, there he is. Voila. There you are, sir. Okay. You're back. Yeah. So you were saying, I was explaining tech to the people now, and now you're back. So we were talking about this problem of, well, not following the charter when you're firing somebody.
Yeah. No, but more. I think that again. I think what's happening, and when you look at Oakland, I think the pandemic, no question about it, was a problem, but it was used and abused, in my opinion. I said at the beginning, we still this. You and I might disagree on this. City Hall is still closed. Yeah. To me, it's something that is absolutely unacceptable. I think that is the reason why, in my opinion, right, the things that are happening. When you don't have the center of your city open for business, to send the message that you open for business, that's when all of this, in my opinion, people take more advantage of that.
Like ransom.
But I also think that the policy, when you look at the campaign, when you look at the where the priorities of our city, when the people claim that the priorities was public safety, this, that, or the other, right? And now when you look at the actual policies, that will be housing, or that will be public safety, or that will be tenant protections. When you go to the extreme of things, it's, in my opinion, are things that don't work. They are not sustainable. You got to represent everyone. You have to make sure that you fulfill and I said this during the campaign, because I really believe it. I really believe that the biggest responsibilities of local government is the public safety of the people and delivery of services. Everything else, including housing, there's no one of the priorities of the city. If you cannot take care of the basics, which is happening now, there's no way you can take care of the big things. Or people that live in Oakland, you and I know, people are selling. Developers that used to, I'm not going to mention no names, but a lot of people that do business in Oakland were doing business in Oakland, building housing in Oakland, building developments in Oakland, are leaving town. And now with this new tax in 2014, another stupidity, we already are the most expensive city in Alameda County. Out of 14 cities, Oakland is the most expensive city in Alameda County. Why we should care? Because our ability to retain and attract businesses. We're going to lose some of the big businesses we have, believe me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm curious, why don't we, and again, this gets back to something that we were talking about earlier, why don't we do a better job of using tax increment financing or Melrose financing, but subsidizing particularly small businesses? We seem to be allergic to the idea we want to tax people, okay, but we don't want to, I don't care if we're progressive or regressive, we do not subsidize businesses, all right? We don't subsidize landlords, okay? What's going on up here with us collectively that we're not doing that?
Let me tell you what it is, that landlords, big or small, are the devil. Businesses, large or small, are the devil for some reason. This the ideology of the majority of this council and this mayor are not fair and are not balanced. So when you don't get it, that your job as an elected official is to represent everyone in order to balance, in order to have sustainability. We talk a lot about housing, right? Well, people that build affordable housing should be entitled to get a reasonable return on that investment, just like anybody else. So it's an incentive for people to invest and build. Let me finish. So it's an investment. So it's an incentive in building affordable housing and market rate housing. Here is the opposite, right? I mean, it's like we just talk about affordable housing, affordable housing, affordable housing. You got to do both. Otherwise, Oakland becomes what? We become the affordable housing capital of the world, and all the cities surrounding us around us don't do their share of their affordable housing. Oakland, I'm telling you, if I would have got elected mayor, Oakland would have a mayor that would have fought not only for Oakland, but with the county. You're absolutely right. Alameda County has $300 million. I said this during the campaign. I'll say it again. $300+ million to deal with homelessness, to deal with housing, to deal with issues, right? But if nobody's there pushing, especially Oakland, which is the largest city, hey, it goes somewhere else, and it is no incentive for people to do that. So, unfortunately, it's our doing, my friend.
Quick question. You said it was the mayor's job to bring in business, right? To help business.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that this mayor isn't doing that, right?
Absolutely. Okay. I believe that the mayor's job is not only to be the salesperson for the city of Oakland, but look at the future. Look at, I heard a lot about, oh yeah, we want to bring back manufacturing jobs, this, that, or the other. Well, we lose, we rezoning in the entire city. We're not bringing one single really manufacturing job. We just talk, but we're not. We just lost ABNI. You and I know that company was in Oakland 130 years.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
They closed in December. Why they closed? Because the city of Oakland and the attorney general, all these people filed a lawsuit against them and all of that. And there's 200 jobs that left in December. Where are those people going to get medical insurance and pension and jobs that pay a decent wage? Nowhere, my friend.
Here's the thing. You realize, Ignacio, you just identified or basically said without saying it or maybe realizing it, that the current mayor is violating the charter because it's in the charter that the mayor's job is to promote the city's economy for growth. That's in the charter. So to do anything other than that is a violation of the law. So I'm saying
minimum is
Jerry Brown.
The fact that they don't get it. Unfortunately, businesses are suffering, especially retail businesses. They've been robbed. Cannabis, which could have been a very good source of tax for the city, $20+ million a couple of years ago. But they've been robbed, and so every single month, all these businesses get ransacked and get robbed. I mean,
here's the thing. Don't you think that there's two issues here that I feel like when I hear them in a conversation like we're having, get confused. Affordable housing and business and within business manufacturing. All right. I'm 3,000 miles away. I'm here in suburban Atlanta for my mom. All right. I still have my place in Adams Point, but I'm here. And people from California coming here in droves because it's too expensive. And yet there are people who say they want to build market rate housing, but around the United States, affordable housing is in such acute need that you can't even get a price from private placement bond issue if you're doing anything other than affordable housing. Affordable housing is literally crowded out everything. All right. So my point is, why not alter that idea, subsidize the landlords so they can build great affordable housing? Here's why I say that. Okay. Here's why I push subsidization. Howard Terminal. You've got some political people in Oakland now. We've never had this before. Council members who believe that you have to make a person developing pay for the affordable housing outright because they're billionaires. All right. But as anybody who knows how to do a real estate housing spreadsheet knows, if you ask someone to pay outright for housing that then you have to charge a premium for, but can't, because let's say you have a rent ceiling or rent control, which I'm not against rent control at all, but let's say that the law says, hey, you have to charge X coming out, all right, and therefore, but you really want to build a more expensive and more and stronger and better quality place to live, okay? You want to have something decent. You don't want to have a slumlord. You don't want to have a slum property, okay? But their requests without the subsidy. Oakland used to subsidize affordable housing because we didn't want slumlords. People don't understand.
We still do. Unfortunately, it's not enough resources to do
that. Right. That's what I'm getting at, Ignacio. We don't think. We don't want to use our noggin. Just in general. We want to have this left-right argument all the time.
But to me, and I know that people don't like my position on that, but I believe that, and I was on that city council for 20-some years. I believe that Oakland has built and has done more of our share of affordable housing than any other city in the county within Alameda County.
Absolutely.
It's 14 cities in Alameda County. We're the largest city, no question about that. But the reality is the majority of the affordable housing in Alameda County has been built in Oakland. As the largest city of Oakland, as the mayor of the largest city of Oakland, I believe it's a responsibility to be on the county's face, to be on other cities' face. And why is it got to be only our responsibility to build affordable housing in Alameda County? What is the other cities? Well, what can we do to make sure the other cities do their share? Not just us, not just Oakland, not just in one part of Oakland. You and I remember what happened when all the public housing and all the federal housing was in West Oakland and in East Oakland. Mm-hmm. And we remember what happened in those neighborhoods, right? We became ghettos, we became more...
but Ignacio, because we didn't
saturated, right?
But we didn't subsidize it, okay? And my point is that we have wrecked the social safety net with this idea. We used to say, here's the problem that I have, all right? I went to grad school at Berkeley, master's degree of 87, okay? My thesis, which you probably don't know, was called A Theory of Decline, the American Institution in the World Economy. Why? Because the point that I discovered then in 1987 was the then newly industrialized countries in the Pacific Rim, among them the older industrialized countries of the new Japan, all right, which goes back another 20 years at that point, right? Okay, had and done a better job of helping their citizens as mono-ethnic countries than two that were multi-ethnic, and there are only two: the United States and the United Kingdom. All right, we have historically acted like problems like housing, taking care of the poor, were not really our responsibility because that was somebody else's problem who looked like a different color than somebody who was white. That's how we acted. All right. And what's going on? Well, that happened then. Okay. If you take a look back in our own history, we were more mono-ethnic. We did a better job after the New Deal of getting money to people who needed the help, particularly if they were white. This has always been a racial problem, which in and of itself is inaccurate because we're different ethnicities, one race. All right. But Ignacio, this has made us crazy. The whole race issue has made us so crazy that we cannot see beyond, the problem. It's always us versus them. It's either progressive versus, it's always a versus. It's not how do we improve situations to get a minimum standard of the quality of life better. The only person to realize that, ironically enough, was President Nixon. And he introduced the idea of the guaranteed income almost as a joke, thinking that it wasn't going to go anywhere. And it went somewhere because it was actually needed. All right. That was 1972. Okay.
Let's go back to the chief and to public safety, because I think that I think that's one of the reasons I came into your program. And let me tell you, unfortunately, and I'm going to be as candid as I can, unfortunately, nothing's going to change unless the mayor realizes, unless the majority of the city council members realize that they have the pulpit. The mayor has the pulpit. They have to deliver the message, Zini, that we will not tolerate this what's happening in Oakland, that we are going to support that whoever the new chief will be, all chief after he comes back, we're going to support them not only with the resources. Remember during the campaign, we talk about license plate readers, we talk about cameras, we talk about all this. I guess everybody forgot about that discussion because I haven't heard nothing since the election was over. But unless the mayor gets in top of City Hall and the city council members, the majority, send a public message that they are going to use every tool available, that they're going to support the chief of police and our police officers to do their job and to actively do their job and support them doing their job, nothing is going to stop. It's getting worse and it's going to get worse. I said at the beginning of this, the sideshows used to be cars, now semi-trucks. Next time, I don't know what it's going to be. But I believe that unless that message is delivered, we are in for an unfortunate, very hot summer and very difficult times. And so I'm hoping, and I can tell you that I'm going to say it publicly because I called the mayor a couple of times. She did call me back once, and I wanted to say that all of us want to help because this city, we care about the city. We love the city, and I don't think there's any person that can do it by themselves anyway. And, unfortunately, she has not taken out that option to get people to help her. So, but I can tell you, there's many people.
She didn't call you?
Initially she did, and then after that, I haven't heard it from a month, but for a month. But I figured all of us have the responsibility to help. But
what happened? That's news. What happened to that initial phone call? How did it go? What did she say?
That she was busy. She will call, and that was early at the beginning, early last month. Unfortunately, nothing materializes. But I can tell you that again, I think it's all of us our responsibility to chip in and help as much as we can because things are getting at the point of no return, my friend. Unfortunately.
I got a question for you. How did we go from police beating up black men? That was the problem with the Ryder's case. Beating up and violating the rights of black men. To when police protests came about, I thought it was going to be a direct call for policies addressing directly how police treat black folks. Okay. But it went from that to defund, which I'm against because you need the money to run your police because it's part of, if a city's population grows, you need to spend more money for the police if there's more crime. And then we have the pandemic, you need to spend more. That's the way it is. But the people who call for defund do not talk, they use defund. They don't talk about black men. All right. Why the disconnect? Why did they water it down? Because to me, that's a watering down.
Because it's ideological. I mean, at the end of the day, you look at it. I mean, it's not only you're right. The Ryder's case was about a group of cops, right? Which
racist cops, yeah.
And let's face it. I mean, one of the things that sometimes surprised me, right, is it's good and bad on everything. It's good lawyers and bad lawyers. It's good cops and bad cops. It's good doctors and bad doctors. I mean, it's good and bad on everything. The issue is how do you deal with the bad apples without affecting the rest of the rest of the world, the forest? How do you deal with the bad apples without really impacting other people? And how do you do it is by taking your responsibility very seriously in dealing with the people that are violating people's rights or violating the law versus blanket, which defund them became, that's why defund the police and all that. It was more ideological than anything else. It's just anti-police, and that's what's happening today. I can tell you that I'm.
You told me they were so afraid to come to the defense of black men, vocally, just say, hey, defend black men, that they couldn't say that, because that's what I've always felt there was. It's like, who defends, who defends us? Okay. I mean, seriously, right? Black women.
I think
Black men.
defund became, again, to me is that we don't need police. Look at Oakland. What happened to the macro, whatever, the people that was going to respond to calls? Now they're going to use the money for something else. I don't know. You read the article. I read the article. Now they're going to use it for other things, right? The money they took from OPD, $18 million. They were going to have macro. They're going to have people that responding to some of this non-emergency calls. How are they going to know there's not a non-emergency call? I don't know. But, it's just ludicrous. It's stupid. It's putting people's life at risk. It's putting the people they send at risk. It just makes absolutely no sense.
Hey, I got to ask you, isn't it ironic that the problem with responding to non-emergency calls emerged, but then we had a ransomware attack, which just happened to do what? Take out the non-emergency calls function.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then not only that, okay, I've read that the majority of ransomware cases of late, like the last 2 years, have been inside jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I work on my server from my laptop home, right? But I don't have access to the city of Oakland servers. So when we tell everybody to go home, like you're talking about, right? They're not coming back to City Hall. Who's watching them? Right? What are your thoughts?
Nobody, my friend. That's the point. I think again, with all due respect, I think that's the reason why the mayor has SEIU, 1021, all those people putting more than $1 million on her campaign and all of that to be where we are today. They will come back to work when they want to come back to work. They will do their job when they want to do their job. It's they know. They already paid the price. They contribute, and now they collecting the fruits, my friend.
I got to ask you this question, because stick it right out there. Would you support a recall of the mayor and get behind it or not?
You know what? I don't believe in recalls, to be honest. I think that people have the same way that I feel about term limits. I think that we have term limits, right? People vote for you or not vote for you every 4 years, every 2 years. I think a recall will be probably divert the attention from the real work that we need to do, like right now. I don't think we have I don't think that we have time to waste on anything else except trying to get the city under control, trying to get the city safe, and trying to get the city clean, which is what people pay taxes for, right? And I'd rather spend time and energy in something else. But
yeah.
Anyway.
So how do we make the mayor do better then?
I think that's the reason why I said at the beginning of this conversation, where are the citizens? Where is the people that pay the taxes? What is the people that the 400,000 plus citizens that live in the city? I mean, nobody cares about City Hall being closed. Nobody cares about every store being robbed every other day. I mean, I don't see the clamor. I don't see the cry from the constituents, from the people, to saying, "Hey, enough is enough." What are you people? You got elected to do a job, right?
There's a lot of
cannot continue, and I think that until that happens, I think that is we're going to continue going kind of down on a way that I think is going to be very difficult to bring back.
Yeah, a lot of them are leaving, Ignacio. They're leaving for Texas. They're leaving for Georgia. They're leaving right? I mean, it's going to continue until California really drags down its housing costs and really focuses on making that a high priority, not lip service, not political lip service, because it can be done tomorrow. If we used tax increment financing, the Oakland parlance, established a public financing authority and an infrastructure financing plan for an area. The one thing the mayor said she wanted to do, well, she had that.
I tell you, if this mayor just, hopefully she will hear this, right? But if this mayor just concentrating what the core services of this city are, just for a couple of years, just concentrate on what the core services are: police, fire, public works, clean the streets, make sure that we can control this illegal dumping and disruption. If she concentrates on that, and instead of want to do 100 things, and at the end of the day, you don't do anything. So I hope, that all of them will concentrate on the basics and make a difference, make a dent on crime, make a dent on reestablishing at least 750, 800 cops, so they can actually do the job. Really implement all the tools that are available in order for them to do the job. I mean, it's really not that difficult, my friend. It's like 1, 2, 3, really. But
since the mayor took office a year ago, she and I had what she wanted to be a secret meeting about enhanced infrastructure financing district legislation and how it can work, and then tax increment financing. And because she wanted to do a citywide enhanced infrastructure financing district. And if we did that, we could go a long way toward driving down these prices. But also, if we set up a public financing authority, the city could borrow. This is not something that she and I talked about. This aspect is new in terms of what I'm explaining to a person could do. I appreciate she asked me, but then she asked me to do work that she didn't want to pay me for. And I said, I can't do that. Okay, that's wrong. I said, plus you don't want to let people know that we met. That's wrong. Okay, so that's closed. My point is, what we can do, like we did with the Port of Oakland, as you know, many times over our history as a city, we borrowed from the port and paid them back. We can borrow from our new redevelopment agency $200 million and pay them back, right? We used to do creative financing, Ignacio. You were there. You're part of that,
Like I said, my friend, sometimes we miss the forest because of the trees. I mean, again, when people want to satisfy everyone and do everything, you end up doing nothing. So hopefully she's learning, and hopefully she's listening, and hopefully other people will start pulling her chain about concentrate on the basics, concentrate on what is affecting Oakland and affecting businesses as we speak. I mean, it's really sad. I got a business, people still call me every other day, people that think they can help. It's a building on I'm not going to say exactly the address, but it's on downtown, Alice and that area downtown.
Yeah.
Child care center. Okay, they take care of children. It's in a corner building. It's graffiti all over the place. The poor owners, right, trying to clean up the graffiti and all of that. What does the city do? Find them every single week. Find them because they don't clean the graffiti quick enough. My response to that is the city's responsibility to go after the people that are destroying our buildings, right? Is the people, why punish the poor business?
Yeah, right. Here's my question, though. Why not finance, because that's code enforcement, right? That's
correct.
Right? Why not call it Oakland Assisted Code Enforcement, subsidize a staff to go out and clean up the building so the landlords don't have to pay for it? I'm saying we have to do that. It just bothers me.
Zinni, because you need to care and you need to know, and you need to have your ear to the ground so people can tell you what's happening, and not hiding with a closed city hall. That's the reason why, in my opinion, having a closed city hall is absolutely not only bad, but it's the wrong message, because it shows that we don't care. It shows that we don't respond. It shows that we are on our own, my friend. Yeah. And I think that's the reason why it's more than symbolic. It's just the fact that people like this, from 5 blocks from City Hall, will have the ability to go and complain to somebody or to go and try to get help from somebody, right? But no, they just get the fines through the mail. They just get the fines through the mail, and then nobody cares about helping. So back to the basics, my friend, and hopefully we can. I believe that the cities of Oakland can start, demanding, start texting, start emailing, start requesting, start you name it, in order to get this local government, this mayor and this city council to get it. You get elected to first to take care of the basics.
The reason
Now,
why
if we can later on put a new ornaments in the Christmas tree, maybe. But first, we got to take care of the tree.
the
Then
reason
we'll
why
do the rest.
people that they can do anything contrary to what you're saying is because, like, for example, with respect to Chief Armstrong, the fact of the matter is the Oakland Police Commission has the power to fire the chief, not the mayor, as does the city administrator, okay? But in spite of all that, these so-called supporters of Mayor Tao, who I might add really aren't supporters of Mayor Tao, they're supportive of the idea that she follows an ideology. But if they were really supportive of Mayor Tao, they would not let her make legal and administrative mistakes. But because they don't know of government and don't care about it, they impart that on her. And so they're not doing her any favors at all. But I digress. I'm letting you all know who happen to see this. You're not doing the mayor any favors. Don't act like you are. Now, my point is that having said that, okay, at what point do we get to such a crisis level that we have to take a drastic action to fix Oakland? Because I believe we're headed to that point in a matter of months.
Well, it's already a bunch of lawsuits, right? It's already some of the business people are filing lawsuits against the city of Oakland because of the lack of response, because of the inability to take care of complaints that people file, actual physical things that they can do, and they just don't do them. So it's already lawsuits, and I hear that it's still more coming. So unfortunately, unless it's publicized and unless people know, nobody knows. But it is. I mean, I think that people are looking for ways to influence, looking for ways to put pressure on this local government to do, again, to do what they get elected to do, the basics, right? And instead of the grandiose thing that people want to do, how about we just concentrate on the ones that really we are responsible for and make sure that this business is safe. It's I'm going to close with this because I got to run, but I'm going to close with this. Been in Oakland 50 plus years. Chinatown, Fruitville, Rockridge. They were always Montclair, beautiful, small enclaves of businesses that kept this city alive.
Yes.
You go to Chinatown now, 5 o'clock, 4:30, shut down. You go to Fruitville, 4:30, 5 o'clock, the majority of the businesses close. You go anywhere, and people, you look at the impact. Unless we do something about that, unless we recreate so businesses can feel safe to stay open until late, so people can walk the streets and spend resources and patronize the restaurants, unless we get that 4,000 city employees that are getting paid by taxpayers' money to come back to City Hall and start going and have lunch in restaurants and start spending those resources in Oakland, not somewhere else. Unless some of those basic things happen, unfortunately, I don't see any real changes, my friend. So, but thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, come back, man. That was a lot of fun. I didn't mean for it to feel like Rock'em Sock'em Robots or anything. I love you, man.
All right, my friend.
Stick around in the background, folks. Hey, folks, more NFL Combine later today. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Please bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com and zenny62.com. That ends this broadcast. Stick around, Ignacio. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.